Joining us now, speaking of governors, former governor of Virginia, Republican Jim Gilmore, might be running for U.S. Senate in 2018. We'll find out in a couple weeks. And he is with us now. He knows a little something about winning as an underdog, getting elected governor of Virginia as a Republican. Good to have you with us, Governor Gilmore.
Always a pleasure to talk to your listeners.
I think the Republicans are going to win. What about you and why?
Yeah, I do think that the Republicans are going to win, and there's reasons for it. Northam's run a terrible campaign. I mean, I just don't understand how. I think what he was doing was he figured he was just going to walk away with it. And when you run to not lose, you're prone to error. So I think that he made a mistake. I think he got out there and said, "Well, I'm going to just keep my base together, so I'm going to attack the Confederate monuments." Well, when he did that, he threw away all his VMI vote. I don't know why anybody at VMI would vote for a guy that was betray his school like that. And then, he basically said that, he wasn't going to include Justin Fairfax on his flyers because the labor unions didn't want him to do it. Well, number one, it makes it look weak, and number two, it makes him look disloyal to the very base that he was just trying to get. He hasn't really done anything to help on the sanctuary cities. Gillespie raised the issue of gang violence from people who were coming in from out of the country improperly as criminals. Ed has at least raised the issue to say he's going to do something about it. Northam said, "Well, I'm not going to stop sanctuary cities. If we want sanctuaries for these people, well, that's okay with me." Then he flip-flopped, which once again showed a character problem. So I think Northam has given the race away, to tell you the truth, and I think Gillespie has run a flawless campaign. I don't think he's made any errors, and Northam has made at least 3.
Well, and look, I mean, here's the thing about Ed. He's Ed. He is who he is, right? He doesn't like Trump. I get it. He's never actually met the man. He's tried to play rope-a-dope with him and, not appear at his rallies and then have Mike Pence in. The whole thing's annoying. But he is who he is, and I respect that because it's Ed. He's got a policy for everything. If you go to Ed's website, Governor Gilmore, he's got a policy on how to stop Virginia rabbits from coming into your tomato garden and eating tomatoes. I serious, the guy's got a policy on everything. He's a policy. It's like policy wonkomania. But it is who he is. There's nothing there that's any different than who he is. And I think that's where people are saying, okay, maybe this guy isn't running the most inspiring campaign. I'm not fired up and I'm pissed off about the whole Trump thing. But the other guy is so bad. And he lied. I mean, if you look at history, it cuts all ideological boundaries. When you lie to your constituents in the final week, like Ralph did, you lose. And he can say he didn't lie, but either on this Virginia Victory Fund ad that he said he had nothing to do with, that we now see in his financial disclosure, there's $62,000 of in-kind, and Ralph's finance committee director, treasurer, puts it as media from the Latino Victory Fund Political Action Committee. So either Northam lied or he had no idea what was going on in his own campaign. Either one of them is bad, and I don't see how he wins. And you look at that ad, Governor, I mean, that's got to be one of the most despicable, evil things I've ever seen. I mean, because I'm a Republican now and I drive a pickup truck, now I want to maim Latino children? I mean, come on, please.
Well, that's right. And once again, it's an effort to get the base out, but it was a vulgar, despicable ad, which, of course, they pulled, and then we find out that Northam's really behind it. So it's just not a good campaign. I think that Ed wins, and I think that he then pulls in his lieutenant governor and his attorney general. Now, they run independent campaigns of their own, of course. Mm-hmm. And, Joe Vogel, I think, has run a better campaign. Justin Fairfax, I think, is broadly unknown. Mm-hmm. I think people just don't know who he is. And I just don't think that goes very far. The more interesting race, of course, the Attorney General race, where John Adams, a complete newcomer, is simply running a sound campaign based upon him being a sound individual against Herring, who has politicized the office. And I was the Attorney General of Virginia, and the people of Virginia do not expect the Attorney General's office to be a political platform. And Adams has made that point, and Herring has violated it, and I think that Herring is going to get upset, and he's going to be very surprised because I don't think he planned on that.
John Adams is closing like a bat out of hell. I got to tell you, Governor, 3 weeks ago, I said he didn't have a shot to win. I thought Herring was going to win easy. Herring has run a really good campaign, a centrist campaign, but in the final weeks, they're playing stall ball. And, you know, I coach basketball. I've done that for some time at the high school level, and I can tell you games where I tried to stall in and protect the lead, I blew almost every one of them. It just doesn't work. You know, it sounds good in timeout, but it doesn't work. What do you think about Trump's tax cut plan?
Well, first of all, let's remember that Ed Gillespie in this campaign, if he has any one theme, his one theme has been that he wants to try to do something about taxes. So he's consistent with Donald Trump on that. Listen, I have been saying in my nonprofit, AmericanOpportunity.org, I've been saying it since 2010 and have defined a careful plan to reform taxes in order to grow the economy. So the point is this. The Republicans in Congress and Donald Trump want to have a tax reform that isn't just a giveaway or something like that to anybody. It's designed to spur the economy, which will create more jobs, which will raise wages and give better opportunities to people. The alternative is just to stand pat and just do what the American left through the Democratic Party has wanted to do all through the Obama years, which is just stand pat and have no growth. So, you know, the American people had a decision. Are they going to try to actually look ahead to the future, a brighter future, or are they going to look back to the past where we just redistribute wealth? And they made a choice, and they chose to look ahead to a brighter future, and I think that's what the president is trying to do.
Well, listen, Governor Gilmore, the Democrats immediately, I was on CNN Friday night. I couldn't believe it. I get on with somebody, and they're immediately saying, oh, this is another Republican tax cut for the rich. And it's like, did you even read the bill? I mean, how do you get on TV and just, you know, read this? They never even looked at it. Anybody that's earning over $250,000 is either going to pay the same or pay more. And if you get to $1 million, you're going to pay it more because they have a balloon tax on any money that you saved in the earlier brackets. That comes back in. So that goes up to 46% from 39 until that $1,200 is made up. And then they're getting rid of all the tax break loopholes that people that make over $1 million take advantage of. The majority of those are going away. So they're going to pay higher. So how is this on earth a tax cut for the rich?
Well, that's just their mantra. The left has settled in on their message, and this is that any change is going to be a tax cut for the rich. Look, there aren't that many rich, but what there are is a group of people that we need to get them to invest their money is what we need to do. Not put it in the mattress and not just put it in a savings account. Just put it investing their money so that we grow the economy. That's the key. But once again, that mantra that the left is doing is just simply basically saying to the American people, no, let's just stand pat. Let's not try to grow the economy. Let's just keep on extracting as much money as we can and, keep it a zero-sum game. I think the president and the Congress are saying, nope, that's not good enough for the future. It's time to grow the economy. Let's do something exciting and get people moving again.
All right, tell me what you see in the House of Delegates. I'm predicting, there's 2 seats the Republicans are going to lose off the bat. That's Dave Abos and Mike Dudenheffer seat in Northern Virginia. They're gone, mail them in. So that gives them a 2-seat gain right there. I don't think they're going to pick up anything else. And in fact, now John, the candidate in Loudoun County, Bell, is at risk. I think Suba Kola, the Indian Republican candidate out there, might actually beat him. I mean, I've got him at +1. That would be an epic fail, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think that they're not going to get too far out of the House of Delegates. They're running a record number of candidates, but I don't see that they run them particularly well. The only way that the Democrats would pick up a whole bunch of seats would be if Northam swept the table and ran up a big number on Gillespie, and that apparently is not going to happen. And so I think the Democrats aren't going to do too much in the House.
All right, Trump's visit this week to Asia, what are the key elements you think he has to do in order for it to be successful?
Well, I think that he's going to shore up our allies. I think that we have to make sure that the Japanese and the South Koreans are with us on this threat that we've got from North Korea. And I think that kind of solidarity will be influential to the Chinese, who are the key to the whole thing. But, my suspicion all along has been that this is running a test on America to see whether we will actually stand up for ourselves. If we can put a cordon around North Korea and bleed them economically to the point where they just got to stop, then I think that we can do this diplomatically. But the question has always been, are we going to allow this country to threaten Los Angeles, San Francisco, or Chicago? And I think that the president has said we're not going to allow that. I think he's really doing a lot of work here to try to resolve this diplomatically if we possibly can. But there has to be a certainty of our allies and our adversaries in the Pacific that we're just not going to put up with threatening the American people with a nuclear strike.
Governor Gilmore, let me ask you this one question. Rex Tillerson, Secretary of State, a lot of rumors flying around that he doesn't really get along with the president. There's one rumor that said where he didn't think anybody would repeat it. He called the president a moron. They just don't seem to be on the same page. What do you make of the Secretary of State, and do you think he ought to resign?
I certainly would not speak to say that the Secretary ought to resign, but I think that the American people elected Donald Trump to change direction in foreign policy. And that is not in America only, but it is in America first. And it means that we're going to be constantly watching to make sure our foreign policy protects our country and benefits the American people. If Secretary Tillerson is on board to make those changes, and I think he is, then at that point I think that the president will probably continue with him. But that's a decision that he and the president have to make, and I would not presume to get in the middle of it. I know this. I am speaking out every day trying to help the country in speaking on foreign policy issues, which has been an area of focus for me for very many years. And I am concerned to make sure that the conflicts that we're in are addressed properly. And that means that we have to face up to the fact that the Chinese, the Russians, the North Koreans, and the Iranians are trying to really drive the Western nations backwards. Not to mention the radical Islamists that are literally attacking us every day. These are real challenges that are going on every day. The Americans have got to lead their alliances and their coalition to make sure that we stand up for it. I certainly believe the president is doing that, and I believe he's entitled to a government that supports him in doing it.
All right, we're out of time. I want to thank former governor of Virginia, Jim Gilmore, for being with us. He knows a thing or two about winning statewide elections.
Hey, John, you told me you coached basketball. From now on, I'm going to start calling you Stretch John.
You can call well, it stretches in the middle. It's not my height, it's my girth. That's really
you're about, what, 5'1" or something? I don't know.
I'm 6 foot 265, so I'm a big guy, no question about it. But you know what? I can still post up with my high school players, so I can still do that. That's about all I can do. Governor, in fact, I got my first game Saturday. Governor, thanks for being with us. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Keep up the good work, John, and thank you.
All right, sir. We'll see you at the Ed Gillespie Victory Headquarters, where we're going to be live tomorrow night, 6 to 11 p.m. This is the John Fredericks Radio Network, trucking the truth across America. The truth, my friends, will set you free.